Hey there are so many breakfast items when it comes to real food and real ingredients, especially when you're doing eggs. But the key is to incorporate as many veggies as possible. So what I wanted to show you is a sweet potato kale frittata. So frittata, we didn't know what a frittata was. It's really a fancy word for a crustless quiche. They're super easy to make and they're really great for weekend breakfast. They do require a little bit of time, but still really 30 minutes or less, but maybe not the fastest option for your weekday mornings. But so when we cook a frittata, we like to do it in a cast iron skillet. Now, if you don't have a cast iron skillet, I will tell you when you need to transfer it to a baking dish. So it's not that you can't make a frittata if you don't have a cast iron skillet, but if you do, by all means, bust your cast iron skillet out because this is the perfect reason to use it. So the first thing that we did, and the great thing about frittatas is you can mix them up and use whatever kind of vegetables you like. The possibilities are endless. So what we did is we took one sweet potato and half of a large red onion and chopped it up. So get those ready first, just because it comes together really quickly. So then in your skillet, we did a tablespoon of olive oil and we threw a couple garlic cloves in there and just finely diced. And we sauteed the sweet potato and the red onion until, 8 to 10 minutes, until they're starting to get tender. And then what we did is we added a cup of mushrooms diced up and we stirred them up for another 3 to 5 minutes. And then we added some salt, pepper, and dried basil. And then again, just a couple more minutes. Then we threw in 2 cups of kale leaves and they were chopped. And so you really only need at that point to cook it a couple more minutes until the kale starts to wilt and break down. And so while that is kind of cooking, I want you to throw together 6 eggs in a bowl. And then we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of milk. And you can use whatever milk you like best. I'm using unsweetened almond milk. And then once you get your eggs in here, you could also throw in a little more salt and pepper, but since you added it to your veggies, you are pretty good on flavor. So we're just gonna whisk it up. You could use a fork or a little whisk. So imagine these veggies. So as you're getting the kale wilted, your skillet is still sizzling hot. You are actually gonna pour the eggs in, and your oven has been preheated to 350 degrees. And so you're gonna pour the eggs in. Now, if you do not have a cast iron skillet, you would transfer these veggies to a greased baking sheet like a 9x13, then pour your eggs in. So then once you get your eggs in, you're gonna let it keep cooking for just a couple of minutes while we're gonna add cherry tomatoes that have been cut in half. So just a cup, and just kind of sprinkle them on top. This is especially good, oops, we lost one. This is especially good when you have farmer's market or garden fresh cherry tomatoes in the summer, crazy good. Then we're gonna sprinkle some mozzarella cheese on top. You could also use Parmesan cheese, just a couple of tablespoons. And then we are going to put this in the oven for 10 minutes. Now, you can overcook a frittata. 10 minutes, check it. If you feel like your eggs need to be a little bit more cooked, then cook it another 5 minutes. But just as long as your eggs are done, your frittata is gonna be cooked well in 15 minutes. If you do overcook it, your eggs are gonna get a little rubbery. But with this many vegetables and this combination of eggs and cheese, 10, maybe 15 minutes will be just right. So we're gonna stick it in the oven for 10 minutes. It's gonna be great. All right, so we just got our sweet potato kale frittata out of the oven. So after 10 to 15 minutes, your frittata is cooked through and you would just slice it up and serve it up. You might let it sit just right out of the oven. So let it sit for a couple minutes before you start slicing and serving it up. So whether you cooked it in the baking dish or whether you cooked it in the cast iron skillet, when it's nice and cool, slice up the leftovers and then eat it as leftover throughout the week. Now, for that idea to eat it throughout the week as an easy week morning breakfast, we have got mini frittatas that you can actually cook up in a muffin pan. And so I did a little bit different flavor combination just to show you, again, the possibilities are endless. So this version, we cooked it very similar to how we did the sweet potato kale frittata. We used a white onion, half a white onion, a red bell pepper, and then sauteed that with onion or with olive oil and garlic. And then we threw in some spinach instead of the kale, and then let that wilt down. And then we mixed up our eggs, and we threw everything in a bowl, and we even had some sun-dried tomatoes and 1/4 cup of feta cheese. Mix it all together, and then fill your muffin pan about 2/3 full. Now these will cook in about 20 minutes, again at 350. And then these are so awesome to make up ahead of time. They freeze great, but you can pull a couple of these out of the fridge or even the freezer, warm them up in the microwave, and then you can be out the door. Great week morning breakfast, especially when you're rushed for time. So the other thing that we have got on Eat Real America is breakfast cookies. So these are the Chunky Monkey breakfast cookies. And these are the key ingredients. There's a banana, there's also an egg, there's some natural peanut butter, a little maple syrup, and some peanuts, and some dark chocolate chips. These are breakfast cookies that are healthy enough to be breakfast, but delicious enough to have any time as a snack or sweet treat. They also freeze great. So they're definitely something that you can make up on the weekend and then have ready to roll during the week. We have other versions on the website. So I would love for you to check out any of our breakfast ideas. We have other things that also freeze great, like baked oatmeal cups. And so lots of possibilities. I would love to hear what you think, and enjoy.